What's up? I'm Blake and welcome to my Lion upgrade race. Lion is Apple's newest OS, version 10.7, successor to Snow Leopard, and it was just released today, July 20th, 2011. Apple's prescribed method of obtaining Lion is downloading it from their App Store. The cost is $30, at least in the US, and just make sure you have an Intel Mac with Snow Leopard already installed and a high-speed internet connection and you should be good to go. What I have here is my 2011 iMac on the left, my 2011 MacBook Pro in the middle, and my 2010 MacBook Air on the right. Just as a quick side note, Apple did release the 2011 MacBook Airs today, so look for a possible video on that soon. So what I'm going to do with these is upgrade to Lion on all three at the same time, and we'll see how long it takes. So a couple quick tips before we get started. First, you can see that I've got the OS X Lion install app running on all three machines. What I did is I downloaded it from the App Store on the iMac, and what it does is once it's done downloading, you'll see a OS X Lion install.app in your applications, and from there I just moved it to a thumb drive and then put it on both of the other laptops. I read that Apple will let you install it on three machines even though you only bought it once, so I'm hoping that I won't have any trouble with that. And after you downloaded Lion, I've just got a few more pointers. Some of these are essential, some of these are optional. First, go to the Apple Software Update and make sure that you have all the latest updates downloaded and installed. The second thing I did was one last sync of my iPhone, so if you've got an iPhone or iPad, you might want to do one last sync before the update. Obviously, huge one, back up your data. If you've got Time Machine, great, that makes it simple. If you don't, I would highly recommend making sure you've got a backup of things like pictures, music, documents, stuff like that. So after that, I would unplug any third-party peripherals. This is kind of optional, but I like to do it, especially external hard drives. Next, reboot the computer. And another kind of optional one would be battery backup. Obviously the laptops I don't have on a battery backup, but the desktop I've got running on a battery backup. In this part of the country right now, we're kind of going through a bit of a heat wave, and I'd hate to be going through this upgrade and then all of a sudden have to lose power. So battery backup for the desktop. So after agreeing to their license agreement, the only thing left to do is click the install button. I'm going to try and do it as quickly as I can on all of them at the same time. We'll see what it takes. All of them right now say 3 minutes remaining. I'm kind of surprised about that. Oh, iMac says computer will restart in 30 seconds. So we're just after 5 minutes right now. I did make all three computers wait through the 30-second countdown to reboot. The iMac is showing about 30 minutes remaining, about 18 minutes on the MacBook Pro, and still about 30 minutes on the MacBook Air. Just as a refresher about the specs, the iMac has a 2.7 gigahertz quad-core i5, and I did upgrade to 16 gigs of RAM. And it has a traditional 1 terabyte hard drive. The MacBook Pro has a 2.0 gigahertz quad-core i7 with 4 gigs of RAM, and it does have the Intel 510 SSD, 120 gigabytes. And the MacBook Air is a 1.4 gigahertz Core 2 Duo with 2 gigs of RAM and obviously a solid state drive. So still right now 29 minutes, 13 minutes, and 29 minutes. So obviously it looks like the MacBook Pro is going to win, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so the MacBook Pro took just over 11 minutes to get to this setup screen right here. We're almost 13 minutes into the process, and the iMac still says 23 minutes remaining. The MacBook Air says 12 minutes remaining. Okay, the MacBook Air has finished. It took just under 25 minutes to get to the setup screen, and the poor iMac is still going. It's about 25 minutes, 30 seconds right now, and it still says there are 12 minutes remaining. And the iMac just finished at 37 minutes. The MacBook Pro about 11 minutes, the MacBook Air about 25 minutes, and the iMac about 37 minutes. So the MacBook Air took twice as long as the MacBook Pro, and the iMac took over 3 times as long as the MacBook Pro. Obviously the laptops were faster, I think, because they've got SSDs installed. I'm not an Apple engineer, but I think there's probably a lot of file operations going on with an OS upgrade, and that's part of what makes SSDs so great. One thing I can say in the iMac's defense, other than, yes, it's got the slower hard drive, I did have a lot more pre-installed programs on the iMac, so not sure if that makes a big difference or not, but it is what it is. Okay, so what I thought was a setup screen was actually just a login screen, and after logging in, I just was asked to register. The other thing I did was check for Apple software updates, and there was an update as of today, a new version of iTunes. So that was pretty much it. So the upgrade install, very, very simple. Pretty much anybody could do it. I'm not sure what a clean install would be like, but I'm sure there might be a few extra steps. So for the rest of this video, I am going to cover just a couple of my observations. There probably are tons of videos out there about Lion and the new features, but I'm just going to touch on, like I said, a few things. So first of all, the first thing I noticed was the scrolling. I've got a Magic Mouse, and you can see by default, I've got a web browser open here. When I go up, it actually scrolls down the page, and when I go down, it scrolls up the page. It seems very counterintuitive at first, although I'm sure I could get used to it, and I haven't decided yet, but it is a simple option that you can change in the preference pane under mouse and then point and click. There's the top option that says scroll direction. This is supposedly natural. You can have it this way, or you can uncheck it, and now you can see in the browser, if you go down, it goes down, and if you go up, it goes up. Another thing that I thought was cool, I'm not sure if this used to be like this or if this is new with Lion, but one finger swipes for going back and forth in your history. So I just went back a page and forward a page. I thought that was really cool. Another thing that I use all the time is spaces and expose, and that has been changed up a bit here with Lion. They both fall under something called mission control now, which there is an icon for it on the dock, and you can also set up a hot corner. From mission control, you see your spaces at the top, and you can actually create new ones by just going over here to the upper right hand corner. As you can see, you can add new spaces, or from this upper left hand corner of each space, you can just delete them. So from anywhere else, when you're out of mission control, you can actually go back and forth between the spaces by just going like the 2-finger swipe with your mouse, which is pretty cool, because I found myself before with the Magic Mouse having to go to a hot corner to get to the spaces and then clicking the space. So I think this will make that a lot nicer. This is the new Mail application, and it does look pretty cool. It is one of the apps that will let you do full screen. Just in the upper right hand corner, you can see a double-headed arrow. If you click that, it does take up your entire screen. I guess that's pretty neat, but one thing that I noticed, because I do have off to the right, I have a second screen. You can only have one full screen app at a time. So even if I get out of full screen mode here and I move this to my secondary screen and then I click full screen over here, it ends up taking up the full screen of my primary monitor, and I just see kind of like a cross stitch pattern on my secondary screen. So I'm not sure, I think this kind of was an oversight. I really think if you're going to be able to do full screen apps, you might want to be able to do one full screen app per screen if you have multiple screens. So we'll see how that goes. I did open all my apps, and pretty much everything opened without a hitch. In order to get Photoshop up and going, I did have to install a Java runtime, which only took a couple minutes, and it was just a couple clicks, so no big deal there. The one thing that does not work, and I was not surprised about it, was Quicken. I am a Quicken user, and I'm going to have to figure out an alternative for that, and I'm sorry I didn't mention that earlier in the video. I will put it in the description about if you upgrade to Lion, you are not able to use the latest version of Quicken, which is Quicken 2007. So one thing I'm toying with is actually just converting to Quicken Windows and using that inside of a virtual machine. There are other supposedly Quicken compatible finance softwares for OS X, but I'm not really comfortable switching out of the Quicken name, so I might be doing the virtual machine route, and hopefully that turns out okay. So, to leave you on a positive note, instead of doing a featured food this time, and I apologize, I promise I'm not going to abandon the featured food, but this time I'm just going to showcase an iOS app that has really got a lot of my attention over the past few weeks. And no, I have nothing to do with the developer. I don't know, it's just something that I wanted to share with you because I really do use it all the time, every day, and it's kind of sad, but you'll either really like it or you'll hate me for it. But it's called Tiny Tower. You can see it's the app that I used last, and it's basically, you're just trying to build a tower and you want to get the most floors. That's it. You've got people that live in the tower and they work in the tower, and they basically just have to stock items at the places that they work, and it all happens in real time, and it's just something that you keep coming back to all day long to restock and try to get more money. And it's just something that I really encourage you. It's free. I really encourage you to go check it out if you think that you like this sort of casual gaming. So go ahead and do that, and I want to just thank everybody for watching, and as always, rate, comment, and subscribe.